Yo, what's going on, man? Today is March the 10th, 2024. It's your boy Chris, and this is the ChrisBeCappinn NBA show where I am live on Twitter, also live on YouTube as well. I gave out a bunch of analysis yesterday for anybody who had a chance to check in and listen to the morning show, and a bunch of winners, man. However, I only played one, and that was I only played one of the plays that I talked about. Boston first half cash, Charlotte plus the points. They went outright against Brooklyn. The Bulls did not cover, but I told you guys to wait on that line if you were going to play that one, just because Paul George, Kawhi, and James Harden all end up playing. So you could have got a much better line if you waited on that number, which is why you got to wait on the injury news. It's crazy to think that we less than a month away from the season ending, but we still got to wait on injury news. And there's some injury news for today as well. So we're just going to jump right into it. The only play I gave out yesterday to my members was the Utah Jazz team total under 108.5. And man, super frustrating defensive effort from the Denver Nuggets yesterday. That was a loser. So we went 0-1 yesterday, kind of in I wouldn't say a tailspin, because it hasn't been consistently losing days. We did start the week off going 8-0 last week, but man, there's some rough breaks coming up, and probably got to trust my leans a little bit more. But didn't really want Boston. I knew Boston would bounce back yesterday. I just didn't want them as much without Porzingis being in there, thinking that that Phoenix was going to step up in that spot as well. So I stayed away from that one. I got to start playing some of these plays, maybe smaller plays, but drop your best bets in the chat. Let me know what you guys are looking at today. We're going to jump right into it for today. It's a bunch of games on the card. Not the strongest card in my opinion anyway, but it's a couple looks I think that are worth playing. So we're just going to jump right into it. No graphics today. We're just going old school, straight with the banners at the bottom. Hit the like button for me if you can. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't, and turn the notification bell on. Let's jump into it. So first game up, we got the Milwaukee Bucks. They are now laying 5 points. 5.5 points now. It looks like it's a consensus. Total dropped in this one from 227.5 down to 222.5. And this is a game, early bird gets the worm. I gave this out yesterday. We jumped on the Bucks yesterday on the money line. They were minus 120, minus 115, I think. Just with the big one in this one, you can kind of throw away all the other stuff. Is the rest advantage here. I do think that the Clippers will probably end up resting some of their guys. You got to remember yesterday, Harden, PG, and Kawhi all came into that game listed as questionable. Of course, daylight saving time, you lose an hour as well. And it was an early start time for him yesterday. It's going to be an early start time for him again today. So, yeah, it just makes a ton of sense. Also, you got the Bucks on the second. You got the Bucks, outside of being more rested, they've also coming off 2 straight losses where the defenses really look questionable again. So I'm pretty sure they want to get that bad taste out of their mouth. They have not looked good. D'Angelo Russell turned into Steph Curry on Friday night and got a win. Thank God we had the plus 1.5 because, Lakers ended up winning the game by 1. So we did end up covering and cashing there. But, I think the Bucks, I think they are the right side in this game. I honestly don't think, and I haven't seen in the injury news, but I don't think that James Harden, Paul George, and Kawhi are all going to play. And on the opposite side, Giannis has already been ruled in. So, yeah, give me the Bucks in this spot. Also, I was looking at an interesting trend before I sent this out yesterday. Since the start of the 2019 season, looking at road favorites to have more rest in their opponent that's coming off a loss. Real quick, let me pull this up because I actually didn't write the numbers down, but I can pull it up real quick. So home favorites off a loss. I'm sorry, road favorites off a loss with more rest, coming off a loss as a favorite. It was a very, very profitable trend, but like I said, the money line's gone now. 64-18 straight up. That was 78%. They're also 49-31-2 against the spread, which is 61%. This is a very, very profitable trend that backs the Bucks today. There's something I was looking into yesterday. So yeah, like I said, I gave this one out yesterday. If I had to play it right now, I'm not sure how much the Bucks win by. It should be a Clippers team total under type of game. The Bucks have been a lot better defensively than the Clippers have. Post All-Star break. So that's probably the way I would look to play this one if I had to get involved now. But Bucks on the money line was the top play of the day for myself. Actually, the only bet that I've made so far. But we'll keep going. Next game up, real quick. Let's go to the chat real quick. What up, Prolific? Chad says Pels first half, Magic -1. All he likes. What up? What is that? Yavi Vasquez. What's going on, my brother? Appreciate you. What's up, Monica? What up, Dream? Dream says and going for assists with the Knicks on the money line. Okay. Futon likes Harden over his 19.5 points. I did see that Harden say it. He said the plan is for him to play on the second leg of a back-to-back. I don't think Kawhi, Paul George going to play. Dream says announcers were crying all game about the worst scheduling in NBA history, saying a team can't play 2 times in under 24 hours. I can't wait for the Bucks line to drop. Yeah, too public for me. Chad says, he says Bucks first quarter. He likes that. Clippers trash first quarter and early games. Yeah, they've been bad. I know you talked about it yesterday, Chad. We both were talking about that yesterday. Bryce says no Clipper on the injury report yet. Yeah, they still got – this game doesn't start until – they got 3 more hours. So we'll see what happens. But, yeah, and they could potentially play. And if they do play, jump back in on that plus 5.5. I just think that even if they do play – first of all, we know the Clippers to be a very precautious organization. I don't think that they're going to play their gas. We'll see what happens. Let's see. Colanzo says, what's good, my people? Tony says, Thunder are now minus 15 with Vince. Vince Williams didn't get ruled out, though, right? I thought I saw that right before. I think he got listed as questionable, downgraded to questionable. I don't think he's been ruled out. Yeah, he's questionable. Not officially out yet, but it's probably not good for him. L Boogie says LSU women plus 10 after USC women won at the buzzer. I did see that yesterday. Chad says, I hope they play. I'll grab them live when they go down 10 in the second. That's a fact. Dream says Harden the dog. He going to play. I agree with that. He says the other two sit. I agree with that, Dream. Harden is definitely a dog, bro. He is definitely a dog. And he does. Harden don't really like to miss games. What up, Fremont? Appreciate you for tapping in as well. All right, let's keep it pushing. Next game up, we got Pacers and we got Magic. This is a difficult game, man. I'll be honest with you guys, because the matchup to me automatically favors Orlando, right? Like when you think about the Pacers, they just came off. Both of these teams coming off really, really bad losses. Pacers lost at home without. Of course they were shorthanded. No Benedict Mathurin, but they lost at home against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Really just couldn't stop Anthony Edwards on Friday night. I mean, he looked like Michael Jordan in that game. If you guys watched the game-winning block, 40-something points. And when I think about Orlando, I kind of think about Minnesota, because from a X's and O's standpoint, they can get whatever it is that they want in the paint against this team. They have the major advantage in rebounding and points in the paint. Orlando's been attacking the rim more than any other team in the NBA. They have played that cupcake schedule as of late. So scheduling spot. Strength of schedule would favor Indiana, because they have played the better teams. But also Indiana fouls a lot, so I can see Orlando just putting their head down and trying to get to the rim whenever they wanted to in this game. Pacers may be a tad bit motivated, because they typically bounce back after losses, and the Magic do too. And the Magic have actually been the better team. But no Benedict Mathurin. Of course, he's going to miss the rest of the season. With season-ending surgery. And I think if you like, so Paul George listed questionable now. Kawhi listed questionable now. I knew it was going to come. I told you guys it was coming sooner or later. So James Harden listed questionable now. They're going to play with us until the game start. But all right, so looking at this game, Indiana, this team is not as great on the road. They're 15-17 straight up, and you really need them to win the game here. 15-14-1 against the spread on the road. They also just 4-6 against the spread in their last 10. And it's also a double revenge spot for the Indiana Pacers. They lost both games back in November and in December. And they were favored in both games as well against the Orlando Magic. Orlando's been good, 21-8 at the crib, 20-8 against the spread at home. They're also 8-2 straight up, 7-3 against the spread in their last 10 games. And they struggle with teams that can play defense. Orlando doesn't really struggle with teams that don't play a lot of defense. And the Pacers, they're going to have to show it, man. If you guys had a chance to listen to go back and follow the beat writers, I'm listening to what Coach Rick Carlisle saying. He said they got to be tougher. They got to have tougher mentality, especially, both of these teams are kind of like in that 7th, 8th spot in the Eastern Conference. So if they want to make it in the playoffs, you can't let one person beat you the way Anthony Edwards did the other day. And granted, there is no Anthony Edwards on the other side, but Paulo Banchero and Franz Wagner can put their head down and get whatever it is that they want, unless this Indiana Pacers defense steps up. So we'll see what happens. The Indiana does have the rest advantage here compared to Orlando just on one day's rest. So I think it's 2-1 in favor of Indiana. And on the season, Orlando is just 1-5 straight up and against the spread when they're playing against a team that has more rest, and it's a small spread. So a 3-point spread either way. Orlando has not been good in these games. Like I said, they from an exit. I really want to take the Pacers. I do want to take the Pacers in the double revenge spot. I just can't get there, man. The defense has been absolutely tragic, atrocious. We know that. Like they're just giving it up to whoever. And Orlando probably going to be motivated. They scored 74 points against the Knicks the other day, and we know whenever you 74 points against the Knicks, and that was I think that was a season low. Not for Orlando, because we know Orlando's not a good offensive team. That was a season low in general. Nobody has scored 74 points. No team, not the Brooklyn Nets, the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't think any team has scored just 74 points. So I think Orlando's going to be motivated in this spot as well. Just a difficult game to kind of handicap as far as the side perspective. The total did drop. I agree with the number coming down. This was 228.5. I didn't catch it in time. It's down to 223.5. I definitely agree with the movement there, but no play for me. Maybe something live. Just thinking that, like I said, Magic, they present tremendous matchup problems for the Pacers, but the Pacers typically step up in spots like this. So not a game that I'm betting, but it's gonna be a good game, man. I really want to take the Pacers though. All right, let's go to a game that I am a little more interested in, but I haven't placed the bet yet. We got the Rockets. They will be in Houston, taking on the Sacramento Kings. This line is 6.5 right now. Total shot up from 231.5 all the way up to 234.5. And I guess I agree with the movement there. I do think you have to wait. So injury report on the Houston side, Jalen Green's listed as questionable. I can't remember what the injury is, but he is listed as questionable. And on the King side, Davion Mitchell is listed as questionable as well. We know he's one of their better defensive players. These are two teams in two spots that you don't want to bet on. If you've been betting basketball and this isn't, new to you, you know that Houston is 7-24 straight up on the road, just 12, 18-1 against the spread. So they're covering 4 out of every 10 times. And then 9-16-1 against the spread as road dogs. 36% of the time they're covering. You look at Sacramento, it's some of the same stuff. At home, 11-17 against the spread. So they're covering 39% of the time. And 10-16 as a home favorite. That's 38.5%. Same thing, right? It's also a double revenge spot for Sacramento. But I went through and looked at it. They don't do well in revenge spots. Houston's already beat this team twice this season. They're 1-3 are the Sacramento Kings straight up and against the spread in revenge spots this season when they're the home team. They just don't play as well, and they haven't been lighting the beam as much, in Sacramento. Houston, they've been playing a little bit better. Nobody really wanted to lay the points with them against Portland the other day. I knew I wasn't going to do it either. But they are 3-1 straight up in their last 4 games, and they've covered 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 games. This is an earlier start time game for these two teams as well. They'll be playing at 6:10, which I think takes Sacramento out of their natural routine a little bit more than it does for the Houston Rockets. So I looked into that. It wasn't anything glaring. Sacramento 2-4 straight up, 3-3 against the spread in those spots this season. Houston 0-2 straight up, 1-1 against the spread when they're playing in a game that's earlier than 7 o'clock as well. 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So this game will be played at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I think it does a little bit more for Sacramento, especially losing the hour of time, early start time, Sunday game. They're used to playing at 10:30, 10:40 at night. So I lean Rockets in this spot, man. I know you don't really want to take the points with them. You want Jalen Green to be in there because the Rockets really struggle offensively, and I can't trust the Kings to get enough stops consistently. We just saw this team win by 2 points, land 11 to the San Antonio Spurs with no Victor Wembanyama a couple of days ago. Gave up 130-some points in that spot. Now, will they be motivated because it's a double revenge spot? But maybe. But I still think Rockets plus the points is the only way I would play this one. Can't lay with Sacramento. Houston has covered 3 straight spreads on the road as well. Granted, I talked about the numbers, how bad they've been on the season. But three straight road covers this Houston Rockets team out of 5 since the All-Star break. So lean Rockets there, but did not play that one. All right, let's keep it pushing. And I got 43 comments, man. 483 people watching live too. Y'all hit the like button for me if you can, man. I'm gonna keep it pushing. I can't get to all the comments. It's too many. It's like I see 50 comments just on this game or on the last 2 games specifically. So I catch those offline. But I will read them and respond to them as well. Maybe I'll go back at the end and see if we can push through real quick. All right, next game up, we got the Wizards, the trash Wizards. They will be in Miami today, taking on the Miami Heat. Getting 11.5 points as road dogs in this spot. Total in this one dropped from 230.5 down to 228.5. Got to agree with the movement there. We know that Miami has been very, very profitable to the under, specifically in the last few games. They've really been, they held Dallas under their team total, even though they lost that game and didn't cover. They went to OKC, held OKC under their team total, didn't win that game, but they did cover. And now you get them back home. So not the most favorable spot for Miami here. Well, let's start with the injuries as well. uh, just read something, but all right. So Landry Shamet is listed as questionable. Marvin Bagley continues to be out for Washington, and now you got Rashad Holmes also listed as questionable. We know the Wizards have been so bad; they struggle rebounding the basketball, which Miami does as well. I think that's important to mention. So I'm not sure how much of an advantage that's going to be. Miami is actually one of the worst rebounding teams after the All-Star break in the NBA. And that one of their best rebounders, Kevin Love, is going to continue to be out for this game. Also, no Tyler Hero. We know Josh Richardson just had season-ending surgery as well. So looking at Washington, this team is very, very profitable in this spot. Miami, not so profitable in this spot. But, I mean, can you take the 11.5? That's the only way I would play this one, man. I know the Wizards are gross. I know that they just got their first win. I was actually looking into that as well. Teams coming off a 15-game losing streak in which they won the last game to break that losing streak. Just 14, 22, and 1 against the spread. And that's the entirety of the NBA going back to like 1996. So only 14, 22, and 1 against the spread in the next game. That's 38.9%. Says that you fade them. That's about 61% on the opposite side. However, Washington, this is their role as road dogs. 19, 12, and 2 against the spread. That's almost 60%. Miami, 11 and 12 against the spread as home favorites. 0 and 2 against the spread as double-digit home favorites as well. First game back home off that little mini 2-game road trip. It's also a third game in 4 nights. Remember, they played on Friday. They played on Thursday. They played on Friday. They had Saturday off. That was a travel day from OKC back to Miami. So you get them in a third game in 4 nights. They also have Denver. We know that's an NBA Finals revenge match, and they probably felt like they should have won that last game in Denver just over a week ago. They lost 103-96, I think. 103-96 in Denver. So I know they got a couple days off before that because that game actually is not going to be played until Wednesday, I think. Yeah, Wednesday. But I think Wizards plus the points, man. I know it's super gross. I know it's gross. But that's the only way I would play this one. We'll be looking at the Wizards in Miami today, getting 11.5 points. We know crazy things happen on Sunday. And I do think Miami should be able to get whatever it is that they want. But these are the spots where Miami just kind of overlooked their competition. We just saw this, right? We just saw it with Detroit. They didn't cover that number. They were laying 10. We also saw it, if you guys remember that game against Memphis earlier this season. We saw it there as well. And I also think there's something too, like Miami, when they played the Wizards the last time, that game was in DC. I think they won like 110-102 or 112-102 or something like that. So when you know you can beat a team, I don't think it means as much when you're like, it's easier. Let's say it's easier to overlook a team when you know that you own that team and like they don't really stand a chance. And that's that's classic Miami Heat basketball. Like, all right, we're a dog. We're gonna come out and win the game. We're on the road and we're a dog. We're gonna come out and scare you and probably win the game, at least cover the spread. We're at home, we'll take our foot off the gas. Wizards plus the 11.5, the only way I'll be able to play this one. Let's keep it pushing. A couple more games to get to real quick. Next game, we got Pelicans and we got Hawks. This game will be played in Atlanta today. This line, I think, was at 6 yesterday, maybe 6.5. It's up to 7 now. Well, actually opened at 5.5. 5.5 in favor of the road team. And the Pelicans should be favorites here. There's no way. So first off, you got them in a revenge spot. And if anybody watched, we cashed with the Pelicans on Friday. You talking about sweaty. They got up. I think they were up like 30, 40 points in that game against Philly on Friday. And what happens? What the typical classical New Orleans Pelicans. First half, they smash you. Second half, it's almost like they go do drugs or something. You know what? I ain't gonna say that. It's almost like they just, I don't know what happened. They start looking for vacations at halftime because they up by so many points. It's bad though, man. They literally were outscored. I can't remember what it was, but they were outscored by a lot of points in the second half of that game against a Philly team that was without Maxey, without Embiid. So you kind of worry about them kind of letting up off the gas in a spot like this. It's also a third straight road game, but it's a revenge spot for the Pelicans here. Back on at the beginning of the season, I vividly remember this. They lost to the Atlanta Hawks in New Orleans, 123 to 105. Atlanta has dominated the head-to-head matchup. They've won 8 of the last 10 games between these two teams, but they're just 3-7 against the spread in the last 10 games are the Atlanta Hawks. This to me feels like Pelicans first half again. I know I talked about it, but I didn't play it on Friday. Like I said, last game of a 3-game road trip, they won 3 in a row. And even though Atlanta has also won 3 games in a row, the Pels 39, 22, and 2 against the spread this season. 39, 22, and 2 against the spread in the first half of the season, which actually makes them the second best ATS team in the first half, only behind the Boston Celtics, of course. New Orleans also 7-3 against the spread in their last 10 first quarters. So they've really gotten out to these really, really good starts. I can't get there with Atlanta. I think that, even though you don't really want to lay too many points with the Pelicans on the road, I think they could struggle, man. I think, even though they've been a really good rim protection team, not having Jalen Johnson and Onyeka Okongwu, them being out, like I said, they are the number 3 in rim and opponent rim accuracy post All-Star break. So for some reason, their defense has been really, really good against the rim. But I honestly think the Pelicans could take advantage from the three-point line as well, specifically the corner 3. This could be a really, really big game for Trey Murphy, kind of looking at the advanced analytics in this game. I think Atlanta is allowing opponents to shoot about 40% from the corner 3, which ranks them bottom 5. Trey Murphy just hit 10 threes against the Toronto Raptors. He had an off game against the Philadelphia 76ers, so I see him bouncing back. Not a play that I'm going to make because I haven't really been playing too much player. I might put a couple dollars on Trey Murphy, but I think it could be – that's the matchup advantage that they have in this game. I think that they could really, really take it to this Hawks team. But first half got to be the play. That would be the only way I'll play. I'm not trusting the Pelicans laying 7 points on the road, even with a depleted Atlanta Hawks team. So those are my thoughts there. We got a couple more games to get to real quick. I didn't go through that Thunder and Grizzlies game. That I'm not interested in a 15-point spread on a Sunday. Not at all. All right, so let's go to the Mecca. We got the Knicks. They will be at the crib. Got Brunson back the other day and came out and smashed Orlando in that spot. Now they rested. I just talked about how bad Philly is. I can't touch them at all. This team is 3-7, 76ers, 3-7 straight up, 2-7-1 against the spread in their last 10 games. Maxey going to continue to be out. No Robert Covington, no DeAnthony Milton, no Embiid. Batum is listed as probable, which will be helpful for him. So you got Batum, you got Cam Payne, you got Tobias Harris, you got B-Ball Paul. Not enough for me to want to get there with Philly. The Knicks have not been great either. Just 3-7 against the spread in their last 10 games. Like I said, they did get Brunson back in that last game. They blew out Orlando. And now you get them off a day's rest. They've already beaten Philly twice already this season as well. Both of those games were blowouts. The first one was played in Philly. They beat Embiid and Maxey, smashed them in that spot. That was, I think, one of the first games with OG Anunoby. And then the second one, Maxey did play in that one. They smashed them in that spot as well. This is the first of a little mini back-to-back series. They'll play their 4th game of the season on Tuesday at MSG as well. I have no idea. I don't want to lay 7 with the Knicks. It just feels too much. Philly kind of desperately needing a win. I'm not sure what to do with this game. Maybe the Knicks overlook them here and Philly gets the cover, but I can't put my money on Philly without Maxey and Embiid. They're 0-7 straight up, 2-4-1 against the spread. They actually were 0-4 against the spread in their last 6 without them until they got a push. That 2-4-1, that push they got in the last game when they were, catching 8 points. They lost that game by 8 points to the Pelicans. So maybe Philly first half, maybe they come out with something. I mean, they look good. I mean, I was going to say they look good against Dallas last Sunday, but they also had Maxey in that spot. So I can't get there. I can't get there with either side in this game. I feel like 7 is too much to lay with the Knicks, but I can't get there with Philly either. So I feel like that's a difficult game. Let's keep pushing. A game I do feel a little more inclined to, but didn't quite bet yet. And I should have probably just bet this one last night. Nets and Cavs. You got the Nets on the road. They'll be getting 7.5 points now. I want to say this line was 6.5 yesterday. This Nets team has been god awful. I keep telling you guys that, specifically on the road. They've been playing a little bit better at home than they have on the road. Let me pull it up real quick because I didn't look at this. Like, I know I gave the numbers out yesterday, but I don't know what they have been on the road this season. They are 10-19 against the spread on the road, 9-21 straight up on the road. I'm not sure why I didn't take Charlotte. I guess I was scared because Charlotte got smoked in the night before against Washington. But you can't lay points with Brooklyn on the road. I dropped the ball there. I apologize for not giving that out, for not playing it, because that was definitely the play. So looking at this game, Brooklyn, you got Lonnie Walker listed as questionable. It's no Cam Johnson. He's going to be out with that ankle injury, of course. Ben Simmons is done for the season. So they could be extremely short-handed, especially if you don't have Lonnie Walker. I mean, we're talking about Cam Johnson shooting every single time. Like that. I mean, that's what he did yesterday against the Hornets as well. He came out smoking too. This Brooklyn Nets team just 1-3 straight up and against the spread in their last 1-3 straight up and against the spread in their last 4 games. This is the third game of a 6-game road trip for them as well. So not a great spot. Second leg of a back-to-back, of course. This year, when they're playing on the second leg of a back-to-back, they're just 3-7 straight up, 3-6-1 against the spread. And they failed to cover 5 of their last 6 in this spot on the second leg of a back-to-back as well. The Cavs will still be without Strus. They don't have Evan Mobley, of course. There's no Donovan Mitchell for this game. And it's the first leg of a back-to-back for them as well. They got the Phoenix Suns coming into Cleveland tomorrow. The Cavs have dominated. Now, granted, take this with a grain of salt because Donovan Mitchell, has been playing in most of these games. But when you catch the Cavs at the crib with more rest than their opponent, they're 5-0 straight up and against the spread in this spot when they're facing an unrested opponent and the game is in Cleveland. So this is a spot where Cleveland, we made a lot of money with Cleveland this season, with them having the rest advantage. This is a spot where they play well. We know that they got a big win against the Timberwolves. They probably should have lost that game, if I'm being honest. And I'm a tad bit still salty because I had Minnesota on the money line, even knowing that they won the second leg of a back-to-back, but Minnesota was 7-2 straight up on the second leg of back-to-back games. And I wasn't betting on Cleveland without Strus, Mobley, and Mitchell in that game against the Timberwolves team. I really worry about Brooklyn being able to struggle in this spot. Maybe even a Brooklyn team total under. Head-to-head, the Cavs have dominated this head-to-head matchup. They won 5 in a row. And all 3 so far this season. I think they've covered all 3 spreads as well. So it's Cavs are nothing for me, but I probably won't get there. Like I said, losing a little bit of value here. I just can't. Of course, you want to see what happened with Lonnie Walker. They only have about 3 scores. This Brooklyn Nets team is Mikal Bridges, Cam Thomas, and Lonnie Walker, especially if you're not going to have Cam Johnson out there. So Brooklyn team total under seems like a good look. This number was opened at 208.5 and it's down to 207, down to 206.5 as well. So I know the team total is going to be super low for Brooklyn, but they can't score. The Cavs are also playing pretty slow. So I would look that way if I had to play this one. I also think you could get there with the spread too. This could be a double-digit win for the Cavaliers here, especially if the Nets aren't making the jump shots. So those are my thoughts there. Last game on the board, not a game I dig too deep into. We still got some time for this one. It's the last game on the board. It's the Timberwolves and the Lakers. And a big reason was, and I'll go through it, but I knew that the injury report wasn't going to come out anytime soon. So injury news for this one is quite challenging to make a bet early. Lakers opened as 1.5-point favorites. The lines come down on some books, but you still see it about 1.5. The total did come down from 222.5 down to 221.5. I think I agree with the movement there. Even though the Lakers haven't been great defensively, the only reason they won the game on Friday is because, like I said, D'Angelo Russell literally turned into Steph Curry, had 46 points, and I forgot how many rebounds he had, but he was absolutely balling in that game. And now you get a Timberwolves team, third game in 4 nights. Anthony Edwards on the injury report listed as questionable with his ankle injury. I do think, however, it's important to note, the Timberwolves are still gunning for that number 1 spot. They really want to be number 1 team in the West. OKC's probably going to win today. Like I said, they got Memphis. Denver won yesterday, right on their heels. The Timberwolves coming off a loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers. They will be motivated in this spot. You also got, the Lakers also put the Timberwolves out of the in-season tournament the play-in tournament last year. But it's really difficult to play this game. LeBron, of course, sit out in that game against Milwaukee. He could potentially sit out again. Who really knows how bad that ankle injury is? Remember, he limped off the floor against Sacramento a couple nights before, and we haven't seen him on the floor since. Anthony Davis, of course, was holding that shoulder. He said he couldn't even lift it. So I don't expect him to play in this one. And if he doesn't, I feel like you got to take the Timberwolves. I know the Lakers they'll be able to score, in my opinion, without Anthony Davis, but they will not be able to defend. And I think the Timberwolves, granted, they're not the greatest offensive team. I think Anthony Davis means that much. Throwing Jackson Hayes out there, and he's been playing a little bit better. He's not Anthony Davis. The Lakers are a bad rebounding team. They give up a bunch of points in the paint. Without Anthony Davis, I think it could get really, really bad. So, like I said, wait on the injury status. I don't expect Anthony Davis to play in this one. Lakers have been one of the teams so far this season that's done a really good job of giving out the injury news a little bit early, it kind of feels like to me. We typically don't have to wait right up until game time. Orlando does the same thing, but that's the only way. I think you got to wait. I think you got to wait in this one. So I know I didn't touch on, like I said, Memphis, OKC. Not again. I don't even want to handicap that game. And that was the only one that I didn't. I kind of looked at the board and was like, yeah, I'm not playing that, especially with all the injury implications there. So those are my thoughts, man. Like I said, I got about 200 comments. I'll go through these off air. But if I had a top look for today, like I said, I already bet the Bucks on the money line. Yesterday, that line's all the way up to 6. Hopefully, all the members were able to get that one in. If you guys do want access to all my plays when I make them, the link to that is in the description. It's only $3-4 a month, something like that. So you really just it's a support plan, not really paying for picks. And if I had top plays in today, though, outside of the one play that I did make, I'd be taking Houston plus the points. I think you got to wait for this number. You got to wait and see. You want Jalen Green in because this offense can get really, really stagnant. But I'm not laying points I'm definitely not laying points with Sacramento at home, even though they're in a double revenge spot. I also like Washington, man. I know people not gonna like it, but I like Washington plus the 11.5 because I've seen this Miami Heat team. They're 0-2, like I said, as home favorites of laying double digits, and Washington covering about 60% on the road. I like New Orleans first half as well. I forgot to write that one down. New Orleans first half. That number is probably like -3.5, -4. I do think that they're right side. Philly, if I had to play that game, I'd probably be looking towards the Knicks, just not trusting Philly at all. And then Brooklyn, Cleveland. I do think that Brooklyn team total under is absolutely in play. Brooklyn team total under. I'm not even sure what the number is, but those will be the top looks. And just for you guys that want to see them, I put them up right here. Houston plus, and I don't have transparency. I didn't play any of these yet, but these are the ways I'm looking to play the game. Houston plus the 6.5 if Jalen Green is ruled in. Washington plus the 11.5, and I like the Pelicans in the first half minus the 3.5. Those would be the 3 honorable mention plays. Outside of the Bucks, like I said, I played the Bucks. I gave this out literally yesterday after the game. And if you guys follow that beat writer list that I have on Twitter, Law Murphy, one of the best beat writers you'll find out there. He tweeted yesterday that he didn't think those guys were going to play in the second leg of a back-to-back. And when I say those guys, I specifically mean Kawhi, PG, and James Harden. So, he says, don't get mad if you travel out. This is what I was laughing at earlier. 17 minutes ago, he tweeted out, don't get mad. What did he say? Hold on real quick. Let me read this to you guys before I get out of here. He said, you see the minutes for Kawhi, PG, and Harden yesterday, which they all played about at least 34 to 40. He says they're all questionable. Please don't get mad if you travel halfway around the world for this game to see one player play. So yeah, hopefully the Bucks take this game serious, which I think that they will, coming off 2 back-to-back losses to start that Western Conference road trip. But we'll see how it goes, man. Best of luck to you guys on all the action that you have today. I'll be back probably maybe tonight, if not early in the morning. We got 7 games for tomorrow. So I'll be back then. Best of luck, like I said, on all your plays, man. Hit the like button for me. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. And let's cash today, man. Y'all enjoy y'all Sundays. I'm out.